Part 73. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 721. If the mother nest now chooses to cut off its body to get rid of Wang Feng, then its loss will definitely not be just half of its body. The most important thing is that Wang Feng is now in the location where his power system is located. Once it is cut off, he has no way to escape back to the space overlap. Even if all the life energy in the body is mobilized to repair the power system, the mother nest will have to go through at least 10 minutes of repair process before it can regain power and enter the space overlap. But will Wang Feng give him these 10 minutes? At least in the eyes of the mother nest, Wang Feng will definitely not let it go. The mother nest does not know that if he chooses to do so, it is really the only way for the mother nest to survive. Because Wang Feng himself cannot move freely in the universe, at least, he has no way to chase the mother nest. And the shield on his body now is not made by Wang Feng himself, but passively appeared when Apocalypse entered the process of full awakening, in order to protect the Master of Apocalypse. After the mother nest abandoned the back half of its body, because there was still a huge amount of life energy in that half of its body, it would not interrupt the awakening process of Tiankai at all. Unfortunately, the mother nest did not know this situation, and because of its understanding of life energy and its confidence in the life energy reserves in its body, the mother nest did not believe that Wang Feng, such a tiny human, could absorb all of its life energy. The mother nest knew very well how much life energy was stored in its body now, and it was afraid that even a powerful creature of level 10 could not absorb it all. Therefore, the mother nest made a decision that he thought should be extremely wise, that is, to let Wang Feng absorb its life energy. When the life energy in its body entered Wang Feng's body in large quantities and reached the limit that Wang Feng could accommodate, Wang Feng had to stop absorbing his life energy, because if he continued, this human would explode directly because he could not bear such a huge amount of life energy. Although if Wang Feng exploded in his body, it would also cause heavy damage to the mother nest, but at least the absorbed life energy could be retained by himself. When Wang Feng stopped absorbing life energy, it was time for the mother nest to get rid of his current predicament. Especially because of the absorption of Tiankai, the life energy of the mother nest is now surging. If the mother nest chooses to cut off part of its body and get rid of Wang Feng, the surging energy will also escape from his body in an instant, causing him to suffer heavy losses. Although the mother nest now stores a lot of life energy, it is still unwilling to waste it. After all, for the devourer, life energy means everything. Therefore, the mother nest finally chose a method that he thought should be more reliable. He didn't know that it was his choice that fulfilled Wang Feng and the old man's prophecy, making the Xianyuan sword finally come into the world. The mother nest began to gather its army of devourers around itself, and also directly recalled several larger spaceships and converted them into life energy to make up for the loss absorbed by Wang Feng. As for the other devourers, the mother nest did not touch them, because the life energy in their bodies was not valued by the mother nest now. Although the mother nest can replenish them at any time after recycling them, it is more troublesome after all. Moreover, the mother nest still has the huge amount of life energy stored before, so the mother nest is not in a hurry. He is now waiting for Wang Feng to reach his limit and stop absorbing his life energy. The mother nest will quickly change its body at that moment, move Wang Feng's position to the outermost part of its body, and then directly cut off the connection with him. After that, as long as the endless army of devourers entangles Wang Feng and gives itself time to repair the power system, it can return to the space overlap point again. As for whether he would continue to send troops to consume Wang Feng after he was safe, or stay at the space point and let the fleet of the cosmic ghost destroy these human beings first, that depends on the situation at that time. The mother nest originally thought that if he rushed here at full speed and destroyed the human race first, he might get more rewards, such as further increasing his military strength limit, etc. But now it seems that these human beings are not as easy to deal with as described in the information he got. Isn't it? He lost 10 mother nest guards before he saw the human race, and then he was attacked again when he just passed the last space point. Now he hasn't even seen the planet of the human race, and he has suffered a big loss. If this goes on, let alone opening the military strength limit, it would be a good thing to be able to keep his existing military strength. So at this moment, the mother nest retreated a little. He just wanted Wang Feng to leave his body quickly and let him escape safely back to the other side of the space point. After I was safe, I would think about how to deal with these humans. Maybe I could just keep sending some devourers to come here through space overlaps to make a show. It would be a good idea to wait for the Space Ghost fleet to come and destroy these humans before coming here. After all, it seems that only one human has appeared now, and this one human has scared her so much that she is about to run away. The mother nest is not sure. If there are more people like the one in her body who is still constantly absorbing her life energy, will she have the courage to face them? But think about it, this is unlikely. After all, Apocalypse was bred by herself. Although the mother nest does not know how this thing fell into the hands of the human race and was used by this human race to absorb her life energy. But at least the mother nest can be sure that this Apocalypse will not appear for the second time. In other words, there should be only one human race like this. Thinking of this, the mother nest felt a little relieved. However, the mother nest's peace of mind did not last long, because he found that the life energy in his body was still constantly flowing away. And the speed of the flow did not slow down at all. In the view of the mother nest, Wang Feng should have reached his limit after absorbing so much, but now he seems to have not changed at all. Wang Feng had already fallen into an unconscious state at this time. At this time, the life energy in Wang Feng's body was constantly circulating in Tiankai and his body. Every time it circulated, the life energy in Wang Feng's body would be further refined, as if some kind of qualitative change was taking place. And slowly, the life core in Wang Feng's body also slowly joined in. With the addition of the life core, the circulation of life energy began to slowly slow down. Moreover, the life energy began to slowly split into two streams, one from top to bottom and one from bottom to top, still in Wang Feng's body, forming a cycle. Just like a yin and yang fish of the 8 diagrams, the life energy slowly circulated and slowly changed Wang Feng's body. Originally, the hair, Tiankai, life core, and life energy seemed to be in Wang Feng's body. Although they could all be mobilized by Wang Feng, they could never be completely integrated together. Although, when he fought with Commander Wang Tao and others, the life core had already merged with Wang Feng's body once, and directly integrated Tiankai into his body. However, after Wang Feng absorbed the brick given to him by Fuxi, although he awakened the function of his hair, the life energy contained in the brick was the purest life energy of countless human beings. The life energy that Wang Feng absorbed before was from all kinds of creatures, just like the devourer, it was very mixed. Therefore, although Wang Feng could control his hair at the beginning, he always felt that something was wrong. He could not move his hair as he controlled his hands. This is because the energy in his hair is pure, and his body is far from that of the human race in ancient times. His body is not able to withstand that kind of pure life energy. Even the life core can only slightly coordinate his body with the life energy of those human beings, but it cannot make the two completely merge. So before Wang Feng, it can be said that his hair, in addition to operating the control panel, did not restore the great role of hair in ancient times when humans were at their peak. Now, with the two life energies that merged with the life core constantly rotating, coupled with the huge life energy in the mother nest, Wang Feng's entire body finally began to slowly merge with the energy of the ancient power in the life core, Xianyuan sword, and hair. Originally, it was because the other life energies were insufficient, so Wang Feng's body could not be completely transformed, especially Wang Feng's body, which had been transformed once by the Kali tribe before. The energy of the Kali tribe is naturally different from that of the human race. Although there is not much conflict, it is not the energy of the human race after all. Now, although the energy of the ancient power of the human race is quite pure, the life energy of the devourer mother nest wins in quantity. Such a huge life energy can finally produce a balance point with the energy of those human powerhouses. And, as these two energies circulate up and down, Wang Feng's body finally began to undergo earth-shaking changes. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 722. While Wang Feng's body was undergoing transformation, Apocalypse was also changing, slowly getting bigger, longer, and thicker. Lao Huan bets that someone here will think wrongly. Everything on Wang Feng's side seemed to be developing in a good direction. But the mood of the mother nest at this time was not so comfortable. According to his estimation, Wang Feng should have stopped absorbing his life energy a few minutes ago, and now, this tiny human should have exploded and died. But looking at Wang Feng's expression, it seems that he fell asleep. Damn. Can this kid have a little professionalism? We are in a battle now, okay. Although it is said that only you can hit me and I can't hit you, you can't be so arrogant just because you have a shield, right? I feel that I am about to die, and you are actually asleep? The mother nest suddenly felt that she was a big idiot now. He said he was waiting for this guy to stop because he couldn't contain the life energy, but what happened now? Have you ever seen a guy who is about to burst but still sleeping soundly? Not to mention that his body is about to burst, even if his bladder is about to burst, it is enough to wake people up. The mother nest began to waver in his previous views, but because he didn't have the determination to cut off his arm just now, even if he wanted to, it was a bit too late now. At this time, the total amount of life energy in his body has been revoked by Wang Feng's revelation. No, it should be restored to its name, Xianyuan sword. The current Xianyuan sword has truly become the appearance of a two-handed sword. Although the blade of the Xianyuan sword is still buried in the mother nest's body at this moment, and the true face cannot be seen, the hilt held in Wang Feng's hand has already begun to show its hideousness. Since the life energy at this time has become two streams and circulates like the 8 trigrams yin and yang fish, the absorption speed has not been significantly accelerated. But at this moment, the life energy in the mother nest has been mobilized, and it is imitating the life energy in Wang Feng's body to carry out this kind of circulation. Of course, this circulation will not change the mother nest's physique, but it makes the mother nest dare not cut off its body again, and give up half of its body as a price to get rid of Wang Feng. Because now the circulation of life energy in his body is even beyond the control of the mother nest itself, and it can't be stopped at all. Once it is cut off, these life energies may immediately interrupt the circulation, and the mother nest will not be able to bear the consequences. Therefore, although the mother nest has begun to feel fear, it has no way to interrupt Wang Feng. This is also natural. After all, the appearance of the mother nest was originally to achieve the Xianyuan sword, so when it was created, it would be targeted. If the mother nest encounters the Xianyuan sword, it will definitely be eaten to death. It can be said that the Xianyuan sword is the natural enemy of the mother nest. Of course, it is probably right to say that the old man is the natural enemy of the mother nest. The mother nest, sensing its doomsday, immediately summoned all the devourers into its body and began to recycle them in large quantities to replenish its lost life energy. The mother nest knew that this was completely a case of drinking poison to quench thirst. According to Wang Feng's current situation, no matter how much life energy he had, he could not prevent his death. But the mother nest obviously would not feel sorry for those devourers, as their existence was for itself. Even those mother nest guards, at the last moment, the mother nest would not hesitate to recycle them and retransform them into life energy for its own use. The mother nest did this just to delay time, because it knew that it still had the last ray of hope, that was its master, the cosmic ghost. So while the mother nest began to recycle its devourers, it also began to send a distress signal to the cosmic ghost. It sent out the location where it was ambushed and the image of Wang Feng. Since the Devourers were created, they were originally intended to help the Devourers search for the human race, at least in the eyes of the cosmic ghost and the Devourers themselves. Therefore, the Devourer nest can send information to the cosmic ghost at any time. Of course, whether the cosmic ghost will pay attention to it is not something the nest can decide. However, this time, the cosmic ghost immediately became interested because they also saw the image of Wang Feng. Although Wang Feng was covered in a cover, the cover was transparent. Wang Feng's image and the hilt of the Xianyuan sword in his hand were fully displayed in front of the cosmic ghost. Xianyuan sword. The first to receive the signal were naturally Xianyuan and the other cosmic ghost fleet with him. The original destination of the two fleets was the planet where Wang Feng and his team were, so the distance was the closest. When he saw the hilt in Wang Feng's hand, Xianyuan couldn't help but jump up from his seat. His eyes were fixed on the Xianyuan sword, and his body was shaking violently. If we say that the person who knows Xianyuan sword best in this world, besides the mysterious old man, it must be the Tai Emperor Xianyuan. Although he could only see the hilt of the sword, Xianyuan still recognized it at a glance. This was the Xianyuan sword that he had left in the Devourer's nest. It's been more than 20,000 years. The Xianyuan sword has finally appeared again. Is the human race really going to rise? Xianyuan looked at the endless universe in front of him, muttering, and then he looked at the fleet beside him. The fleet next to him was about the same size as his own. If the two sides fought a decisive battle, the odds of winning or losing should be 50-50. But the problem was that although Xuanyuan's fleet was commanded by Xianyuan, once his order was to attack his friendly forces, then, except for the flagship that had been secretly modified by him, other warships would never execute his orders. So, once Xianyuan turned against him, he would face the situation of fighting alone. And Xianyuan was sure that once he started to attack the opponent's fleet, then, it would be a miracle if he could hold on for 10 seconds without being blown up. However, Xuanyuan's 20,000 years were not in vain, and he certainly would not be so impulsive. Long before, Xianyuan had prepared a big gift for the cosmic ghost, and now it seemed that it was time to give it to this group of bastards. At this time, the flagship of the other fleet also sent a message to Xianyuan, which meant nothing else but to start speeding up and go to assist the mother nest. The other flagship was not because he cared about the mother nest. For the cosmic ghost, the mother nest was just a dog they raised, and it didn't matter whether it was dead or not. As long as the mother nest could find the human race, it would be considered to have completed its mission. Obviously, now the mother nest has exceeded its mission. Not only did it find the human race, but it also found an ancient human race. Because Wang Feng's body was undergoing transformation at this time, his hair was all scattered and flying in the air. Therefore, the leader of the fleet on the opposite side also recognized that this human race belonged to the ancient human race. In other words, this human race was one of the human races that destroyed their two entire cosmic fleets, and maybe even one of them. Of course, this cosmic ghost could not have thought that Wang Feng was not an ancient human race, let alone the one who destroyed their fleet that year. There was indeed one person who destroyed their fleet, and he was among them. At this time, he was still sending a signal to that guy. After receiving the signal from the other party, Xianyuan did not hesitate and agreed to the other party directly. So, the two fleets accelerated at the same time and flew towards Wang Feng's location. Originally, they were heading towards the location of the planet where Wang Feng and his team were. In this way, they needed to bypass that planet. However, for the cosmic ghost, the ancient human race is the most important. That planet will not run away, and it is not too late to come back and clean it up. Moreover, according to the information transmitted back by the mother nest, it was just this human race that forced him to this point. It can be seen from this that this human race must be a powerful person among the ancient human race at the time, and he actually let him hide for so long. Being able to destroy him, the cosmic ghost can be regarded as a little revenge for his two fleets at the time. As for the destruction of their two fleets, it was because of the invasion of the human race's galaxy, and the cosmic ghost naturally would not pursue it. As a cosmic ghost clan, they are born to find various life planets and destroy them. You can resist, but it is wrong for you to destroy our fleet. Especially since the birth of the cosmic ghost, this is the first time that a fleet has been destroyed as a whole, and two of them together. Such a threatening creature naturally cannot be left. Therefore, after the disappearance of the human race's planet, the cosmic ghosts found that their home planet was not destroyed, so they have been looking for it. Because the human race has posed a threat to them, the cosmic ghosts will not let them hide and develop. Although the universe is endless, who knows when they will be annihilated by the human race again? One or several fleets. Therefore, the human race is a creature that must be completely exterminated for the cosmic ghosts. Before the human race's home planet is found and destroyed, the cosmic ghost will never give up looking for the human race. This is why, although the Devourer's Nest sent a message that there was only one human planet here, there were still two fleets. Although Xian Yuan asked to join later, no one on the cosmic ghost side thought there was anything wrong. Because who knows what the human race on this planet has developed into? With more power comes more confidence. No one knows that this extra space fleet has become the death warrant for the other fleet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 723. Brothers. Gather urgently and get ready to go. On the planet, in the East Continent, above the Hope base, Duan Lei's voice suddenly came from the Hope. The two space fleets suddenly changed their course and deviated from our planet, so I guess the madman successfully intercepted the Devourer's Nest. Now the Nest has asked for help from the Space Ghost, so they suddenly gave up our planet and went to the madman. The Hope is a space battleship specially modified by Xian Yuan, and of course it can also detect the location of the Space Ghost battleship. Moreover, the Hope can directly contact the flagship where Xian Yuan is, but they will not take the initiative to contact Xian Yuan. Moreover, Xian Yuan can also directly see the location of the Hope and talk to the Hope at any time. Duan Lei has already noticed the existence of the two space fleets, but he is still waiting for Wang Feng to pass on the information. Now there is no feedback from Wang Feng, and the two space fleets suddenly changed their course, which immediately made Duan Lei feel something was wrong. After a little thought, Duan Lei guessed a rough idea, and it was indeed not much different from the truth. Without hesitation, Duan Lei made a decision and began to prepare to gather all the personnel to board the warship. After this period of training, the soldiers of the two legions have been qualified in the use of small fighters. Although they are not as flexible as the fighters driven by the human warriors, at least they will not be completely helpless. Brothers. Now, Madman and his men did not send us a distress signal, nor did they explain any situation on his side. Duan Lei took a deep breath and said, "So, what I said just now was just my guess, but at least the mother nest is over there, and the cosmic ghost is now heading in that direction. So I'm sure that Madman and Yanhuang must still be there. Since they are there, we should be there too. We won't let Madman fight alone. In addition, we don't need too many people for this attack. The pilots and co-pilots of small fighters, all go to battle. All crew members of the Hope, all go to battle. Everyone else, stay here. Because this is a space battle, you can't help if you don't have a position busy. Having more people doesn't mean you can defeat the enemy. At least, it's impossible to bite off a piece of the enemy's warship with your teeth, so there's no need to make fearless sacrifices. Besides, the two fleets have changed their course, which means they won't come to our planet. At least, before they kill our Yanhuang and Hope, Our planet is still safe for the time being. So, those who don't have a job don't need to board the ship. You can stay here and wait for us to return, or, wait for the cosmic ghosts to come, and then fight them. After Doomsday's order came out, the soldiers of the two legions, as well as all the personnel who had obtained the qualifications to enter the warship, all rushed to Hope like a swarm. The appearance of Hope is not as big as Yanhuang. Although its internal space is much larger than Yanhuang, it is much smaller because it uses space technology. Hey! Lao Lu! You are not a fighter pilot, nor a member of the battleship crew, why are you here to join in the fun? I am a combatant. No. Didn't the military advisor just say that? Those without positions don't need to go up. I said it. I am a combatant. There is a battle now, of course you can't let me down. Why are you going up? Can't I just go up and shout for encouragement? Stop talking nonsense. Don't delay things. If you are afraid of death, go down. Bullshit. I am also a combatant. How can I be afraid of death? They are just small cosmic ghosts. I will go up and see with my own eyes how we kill them. Yes. I want to go too. I am also a combatant. Get out of the way. I am a hope warrior. Who dares not let me go up? Get out of the way. Don't you see so many people want to come up? Such conversations continued to ring out among the crowd that gathered. Everyone is not stupid. Without Doomsday's explanation, they also know that staying on the planet is definitely safer than boarding the battleship. Even after the Yanhuang and Hope were destroyed, the cosmic ghosts would probably come to this planet again. But at least staying on the planet could allow them to live longer. Moreover, who knows whether Hope and Yanhuang can really lose to each other in this air battle? If so, they can live longer. However, now the soldiers of the two legions and the fighters who had fought with them before have thoroughly understood the Hope base and the way Wang Feng and Doomsday deal with things. To gain their trust, it is very simple. You give your life to them, and they will give their lives to you. At this time, many people knew that even if they boarded the warship, they would not be able to play any role at all. Even as that guy said, shouting "come on" was impossible. Because it was outer space, sound could not be transmitted, and when those small fighters attacked, or when Hope was exchanging fire with the other side's warship. At that time, shouting "come on" was purely a mess and distracting the attention of their own people. However, although they couldn't do anything, at least they expressed their attitude after boarding the battleship. Brother! Don't worry and fight, you are not alone, we are all here. Everyone can either win together or be destroyed together with the Hope. They just want to let their brothers know that they will never be alone even in space. They hope that the base will not let any brother fight alone. Just like now, Wang Feng has not sent out a distress signal, and the Yanhuang has not sent back any information. However, the Hope is still ready to set off, and will attack soon to fight side by side with the Yanhuang. Because they have practiced many times, even though these guys talk a lot of nonsense and seem noisy, their movements are not slow. Soon, all those who were willing to board the battleship had entered the Hope. The Hope slowly lifted into the sky, and slowly disappeared into the sky under the gaze of countless people below. The crew members are all ready, and the pilots of the small fighter planes have all boarded the fighter planes. Although it still takes a long time to reach Wang Feng, the pilots of these small fighter planes still entered their combat positions early. They should try their best to familiarize themselves with their fighter planes at the last moment of the decisive battle, so as not to be held back on the battlefield. It took Wang Feng a month to get from the planet to the space point where the mother nest jumped out. But that's because Wang Feng knew that the brood would appear at that time, so there was no need to rush. Although the Yanhuang driven by Wang Feng was much faster than the battleship of Space Ghost, Wang Feng was driving a large battleship after all. The Hope is a small battleship that has been transformed by Xianyuan. It goes without saying that the commander of the human fleet is familiar with battleships. Therefore, to be honest, the Hope is still much faster than the Yanhuang. However, now Duanlei is also looking at the two battleships of the Space Ghost. From them to the current position of the Yanhuang, they will definitely be behind them. Although they speeded up after changing their course and seemed to be moving at full speed, due to the distance, it would be impossible for them to reach the Yanhuang within 40 days. And now the energy of the Hope is not particularly sufficient. At least, if interstellar navigation is needed in the future, there will definitely not be enough zombies. Especially since he still doesn't know the situation at the brood nest, Duanlei doesn't dare to waste energy easily. Since the Yanhuang arrived near the space overlap point, it has not transmitted any information. Duanlei has not dared to ask for fear of disturbing them. Now, Duanlei felt that he had to ask about the situation over there. Because if the Hope moves at full speed, it can reach the Yanhuang in 25 days. In that case, the consumption will naturally be considerable, and judging from the actions of these two space battleships that need to rescue the brood, at least Wang Feng should have the advantage in the battle with the brood. Therefore, Duanlei felt that the current situation on Wang Feng's side should be okay, and he only drove the battleship out to help Wang Feng deal with the two fleets of the Space Ghost. However, after contacting the Yanhuang, Duanlei realized that it turned out that the Yanhuang had not sent back any information before, not because they were fighting or for other reasons. But it's because, including Li Yingning, number 7 and Fuxi, no one on the Yanhuang number 3 knows what the situation is now. Because Wang Feng set up autopilot, the small spacecraft where number 7 was located returned directly to the Yanhuang. Fuxi and Li Yingning naturally found number 7 to inquire about the situation. Number 7 couldn't explain the reason. He just saw Wang Feng eject himself into the nest, and then the fighter plane brought him back. Of course Fuxi immediately sailed the Yanhuang out of its hiding place and prepared to rescue Wang Feng. However, after seeing the mother nest, all three of them were stunned for a moment, and then looked at each other in confusion. The huge brood nest stopped motionless in space, while other Devourer spacecrafts continued to approach the brood nest and then entered the brood nest. Is this a fight inside? Fuxi looked at Li Yingning doubtfully. Remove the shield. Li Yingning took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 724. Although the Yanhuang had sailed out of its hiding place and saw the huge body of the brood, the energy shield was still turned on. Because Li Yingning said that as long as the shield is turned on, he can be isolated from the mother's nest. But now, Li Yingning no longer cares about so much. Although he is a prince, he is quite important to the brood. But if you want to know what's going on inside the brood, you have to cancel the shield. Fuxi looked at Li Yingning and they were now in front of the brood, although the brood seemed not to have noticed them until now. But who knows if the brood will attack them like crazy after the shield is cancelled. You know, now Fuxi does not have the ability to flexibly control the Yanhuang and can only fly the simplest. Once the shield is turned on and attacked by the Devourer, the Yanhuang is likely to be directly destroyed. After losing the Yanhuang how, it wouldn't matter if they died, but Wang Feng wouldn't be able to go back. Now in Fuxi's eyes, Wang Feng is the hope for the rejuvenation of the human race. Fuxi does not want the hope of the human race to fall because of his own mistakes. If I don't cancel the shield, I won't be able to detect the current situation of the mother nest, and we will have no way to understand the current situation inside the mother nest. Li Yingning seemed to understand what Fu 11 meant, so she explained. Besides, the Devourer spaceships are all over the brood nest now, and their flight speed is very slow. If they attack us, you have time to open the shield again. You should know that Devourer has no long-range attacks, and the same goes for those spaceships. After saying this, Li Yingning closed her mouth and looked at Fuxi quietly. For Li Yingning, it was quite rare for him to explain so much in one breath. After Fuxi heard Li Yingning's words, he looked at number 7, who also nodded quickly. The prince is right. Unless the shield is cancelled, the brood cannot know the existence of the prince, and the prince cannot feel the status of the brood. And the devourer has no long-range attacks. This zombie was set up by your Xian Yuan. When he created the devourer, he didn't really want to use us to exterminate mankind. Naturally, there will be many restrictions. After hearing No 7's explanation, Fuxi finally sighed, and then lifted the energy shield of the Yanhuang space battleship. The moment the energy shield disappeared, Li Yingning's eyes suddenly lit up, and then she looked towards the nest. However, the brood did not respond at this time, because at this time, the brood had entered a stalemate with Wang Feng. His attention is now all on Wang Feng, so how can he have time to care about any prince? At this time, even if the emperor comes, it won't work. The most important thing for the brood now is to keep itself alive. Stop right here. Li Yingning looked at the nest with a faint smile in her eyes. And number 7, at this time, also felt the panic in the brood, and couldn't help but laugh happily. How did this guy do it? He actually made the brood feel that a disaster was coming. As soon as he said this, No 7's expression suddenly changed. Not good. The brood has sent out a distress signal. It doesn't matter. Li Yingning looked at the star map inside the Yanhuang and said, it will take at least more than a month for those 2 fleets to reach here. It will be too late. What's going on? Fuxi frowned and asked. Among the Yanhuang number, he was the only one who still didn't know about the situation of the brood. The madman should have taken control of the brood. The power system of the brood is now disabled. Number 7 quickly explained to Fuxi. You don't need the prince, I can feel the fear in the heart of the brood right now. The brood is now recycling devourers and spaceships to replenish the energy absorbed by the madman. Also, the madman is safe now, because the brood seems to have no way to deal with him, so the brood has just sent a distress signal to the cosmic ghost. Fuxi turned around and saw that the 2 fleets of cosmic ghosts had changed their direction and started flying towards them. However, as Li Yingning said, it will take at least more than a month for them to get here. By that time, Wang Feng may have already killed the nest. Since even the 2 cosmic ghost fleets have begun to move in this direction, it seems that what number 7 and Li Yingning said must be true. Fuxi did not have such unconditional trust in number 7 and Li Yingning. Because it is related to the revival of the human race, this matter is definitely of great importance, so Fuxi will not trust anyone easily. And as the leader of the 3 emperors of the human race, he is also accustomed to controlling the development of events by himself. It's just that he has lost his original strength now, so he seems a little silent. At this time, Duan Lei also started to contact Yanhuang, but Fuxi had no real confirmation at this time, so he asked Duan Lei and the others to wait. After observing for a period of time, Fuxi believed that Wang Feng was indeed not in danger at the moment, and then told Duan Lei about the situation here, telling them not to be anxious and just come at a normal speed. Even if they were not in a hurry, Duan Lei and the others would arrive 10 days earlier than the 2 fleets of the Cosmic Ghost, so there was no need to rush. After Duan Lei knew that Wang Feng had now controlled the brood, he felt relieved and focused on the 2 fleets of Cosmic Ghosts. Now that Wang Feng is in the nest, even Li Yingning and Fu 11 dare not enter easily for fear of ruining Wang Feng's actions. Duan Lei and the others naturally don't need to worry, since they won't be able to do anything when they get there anyway. As long as they can ensure that they arrive before those 2 space battleships, there will be no problem. Of course, what I say here is no problem means that if they want to carry out their previous escape plan, then there will indeed be no problem. As for the battle, it seems a bit overwhelming. However, as time went by, not only Fuxi, but also Li Yingning and number 7 became a little unable to sit still. because it has been 20 days since they appeared in front of the nest. Even Doomsday and the others are almost here, but the nest in front of them is still the same as before, standing there motionless. If there is any difference, perhaps the only difference is that all the spacecraft around the brood, no matter how big or small, have been recycled by the brood and converted into life energy. As for the devourer within the brood, Li Yingning and the others were not so clear about it. But at least Li Yingning can be sure that the brood is still alive, and even the brood guards are not dead yet. How long will it take for the Xianyuan sword of your human race to fully awaken? Li Yingning looked at Fuxi. Have no idea. Fuxi shook his head and said. That old man has always been mysterious. Only the devil knows what he created. But, if this continues, the 2 space ghost battleships will soon arrive. Li Yingning looked at the star map. The 2 cosmic ghost battleships had already traveled halfway. In other words, they would arrive here in another 20 days. As for whether Wang Feng will kill the brood in these 20 days, no one dares to say now. Li Yingning and number 7 could just feel that the current state of the brood was very bad, and they were feeling quite scared, even a little desperate. But the key point is that 20 days ago, this grandson was almost in this mood. Now 20 days have passed, why didn't he be scared to death? However, although the size of the brood has not shrunk, Li Yingning knows that the current brood is already very weak. However, his weak state has lasted for 3 or 4 days. Especially in Li Yingning's consciousness, the other brood guards were still alive. If the brood is really at the end of its rope, he will definitely not begrudge the lives of these brood guards. Therefore, these brood guards still exist, which only illustrates one problem, that is, the brood still has some remaining strength, and has not reached the real critical moment of life and death. What Li Yingning doesn't know is that the brood has not yet recovered the brood guards, not because he doesn't want to, but because he doesn't have the ability. Now, Wang Feng in the mother's nest is still sleeping, but at this time, the life energy of the mother's nest has been completely controlled by Wang Feng. But now Wang Feng is still in an unconscious state, so the life energy of the brood is still circulating as before. But now the brood is completely unable to control his body, but his consciousness is still there, but now he can't even use his consciousness to command the brood guards. Because of the brood guard, only their bodies were left at this time, and their bodies had already turned into life energy and entered Wang Feng's body. The life energy in Wang Feng's body now has reached a quite terrifying level. However, at this time, these life energies are still in a continuous cycle, constantly strengthening Wang Feng's body. Yes, it is strengthening. It was transformation before, but now it is strengthening. With the strengthening process, the life energy is also integrated into Wang Feng's body bit by bit. It's just that the life energy is too huge. If you want to integrate them all into Wang Feng's body, according to the current progress, I'm afraid it won't be completed, not to mention 20 days, even 20 years. But now, Wang Feng only has 20 days. When the cosmic ghost fleet arrives, no matter how strong his body is, a single salvo from the 2 fleets will be enough to wipe him out immediately, with no possibility of survival. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 725. But it is a pity that Wang Feng is not conscious at all now, so naturally he does not know that a huge crisis is slowly approaching him. Even with the hope piloted by Doomsday, there is probably no hope against the tens of thousands of battleships of the 2 cosmic ghost fleets. As for the Yanhuang, there is no need to mention it. Wang Feng is no longer there. The Yanhuang is basically just a decoration. If it enters the battle, it is no different from giving it away for free. No, we can't wait any longer, let's take a closer look. Li Yingning looked at the nest with a hint of ferocity on her face. He has been waiting for more than 10,000 years, and now he finally sees that there is hope of killing the brood, so he definitely doesn't want to give up halfway. Even if they were destroyed by the cosmic ghosts who arrived after they killed the brood, at least Li Yingning fulfilled her wish before she died. Fuxi didn't say anything to Li Yingning's suggestion, but he directly drove the Yanhuang space battleship and slowly approached the nest. Because Fuxi is now a little worried about Wang Feng's situation. Will that guy starve to death in more than 20 days? Fuxi couldn't help but shudder when he thought that the human savior he hoped for might actually starve to death. Yanhuang quickly arrived at the mother's nest, only more than 100 meters away from the mother's nest. This distance is equivalent to intimate intimacy for the huge space battleships. I'll go up and have a look. Li Yingning gritted his teeth and said, because he was going to be close to the mother nest, Fuxi turned on the Yanhuang's energy shield again. Because at this distance, if there is no shield, the brood only needs one impact to paralyze the Yanhuang. You can't go. You are the prince, it's me who should go. Anyway, my life has been saved long ago. Number 7 heard that Li Yingning was about to enter the nest and quickly stopped him. Neither of you can go. Seeing the two devourers rushing to enter the nest, Fuxi suddenly said. You two are both devourers. After entering the mother's nest, you have no ability to resist the mother's nest at all. So, it's better for me to go in. At least it's safer than you. You. Li Yingning and number 7 looked at Fuxi at the same time, their eyes full of suspicion. Snort. Fuxi was immediately furious. After all, he was the head of the 3 emperors of the human race, but he was actually despised by 2 creatures created by that guy Xian Yuan? You can try to absorb the energy in my body. Fuxi looked at number 7 and Li Yingning and said. Li Yingning and number 7 looked at each other, and then Li Yingning really stepped forward, stretched out a hand, and put a hand on Fuxi's shoulder. As soon as Li Yingning put her hand on it, she frowned. Because Li Yingning felt that he had no way to absorb Fuxi's life energy. In other words, if he fought Fuxi, the Devourer's innate skills would be completely useless. And in this case, Fuxi is really the first choice to enter the nest. Don't forget. I am an ancient human race. Who are the enemies of the ancient human race? They are cosmic ghosts, guys more terrifying than your devourers. I already thought of this when I rebuilt my body. Therefore, my current body is a mechanical life. To the cosmic ghost and the devourer, I am your nemesis. Of course, I only mean when fighting alone. However, I think there should be no danger to me when entering the nest. That won't work either. To Fuxi's surprise, Li Yingning still shook his head. Only you can pilot this Yanhuang, so you can't leave this battleship. We may be in danger if we go in, but at least once we go in, we can immediately pass on the information and let the people in the battleship know what's going on. And if you go in, how will the news get out? I'm afraid you will die silently inside, and we won't even feel it. That's it. I'll go in. Wait here on the 7th. If my life node has not disappeared 1 minute after I go in, then you open the shield and I will tell you what happened inside. If I die after entering, just keep waiting. When the cosmic ghost is about to arrive, if the madman hasn't come out yet, then let Xiao Lei and the others use the hope to kill the brood. As for the Xian Yuan sword, they won't care. Prince. It's better for me to go. The effect of my going will be the same as yours. Number 7 looked at Li Yingning and said. It was you just now, now it's my turn. Li Yingning shook her head, then looked at the nest. After all these years, it's time for me to touch base with him. After hearing what Li Yingning said, number 7 stopped insisting, and Li Yingning turned back and nodded to Fuxi, then walked outside. Li Yingning walked directly to the entrance and exit of the small fighter plane. The energy shield was still on at this time, but the shield did not affect the life points. As long as Li Yingning dies, the life node he left in the core of No 7's consciousness will disappear, and number 7 will know that the brood still has the ability to attack. In that case, their shields naturally cannot be withdrawn. Arriving at the exit of the small fighter plane, Li Yingning looked at the nest in the distance, then kicked hard, and her body was launched directly towards the nest like a cannonball. Since Li Yingning himself is a living body, and he traveled from the inside to the outside, the Yan Huang's energy shield did not hinder him in any way. After watching Li Yingning enter the nest, number 7 couldn't help but become nervous, and his consciousness was firmly locked on Li Yingning's life node. A minute has passed, and that life node is still shining. He's still alive. Number 7 turned to Fuxi, who was looking at him, nodded slightly and said. Fuxi also breathed a sigh of relief, and then, after letting the battleship retreat a certain distance, he cancelled the shield. Although Li Yingning was not immediately recovered by the nest after entering it, Fuxi still took some precautions. Who knows if this is a tactic used by the brood to lure enemies? At this distance, Li Yingning should still be able to contact number 7, but if the brood hits, at least Fuxi will have a buffer. After Fuxi removed the shield, number 7 frowned and then looked at Fuxi. The prince said that the brood is now in a static state, but the life energy in the brood is running at full speed. He doesn't know what happened. Moreover, he dare not step into those life energies now, because that energy is too violent and will strangle him in an instant. However, he can feel that the madman is still alive and is related to the running life energy, because there is a life core in these energies. What's next? Number 7 looked at Fuxi and asked. Wait. Let's keep waiting. Let Li Yingning come back. Good. Number 7 nodded and said. However, he immediately looked in the direction of the nest again and said strangely. The prince said that he will not come back for the time being, because he also has a life core in his body, which can stabilize the life energy in his body and prevent it from being assimilated by those life energies. The brood should be unable to control its body now, so he is safe now. If he stays there, he will be able to tell me immediately if anything changes. And the prince estimates that now the madman is not only awakening the Xianyuan sword, but he himself may also be able to get a lot of benefits from the huge life energy accumulated in the brood. So, let's try not to disturb him. It's best to wait until his situation ends naturally. Natural ending. Fuxi smiled bitterly, and then looked at the star map. I would like to, but it seems that there are only less than 20 days left. Oh. Let's forget about that for now, anyway. We are just waiting now. If the madman's side is not over when the cosmic ghost is about to arrive, then. Number 7 also sighed, then looked at the countless little red dots on the star map and murmured. Hold it as long as you can. Number 7 said he would try to delay it as long as possible, but he knew in his heart that with their current situation, even if Duan Lei and the others joined, they would not be able to fight against the 2 fleets of cosmic ghosts. 2 battleships, one of which is equivalent to a free gift, are going to block tens of thousands of battleships. This is absolutely impossible. Even if Duan Lei and the others tried their best, it would only last a few minutes at most, which was of no use at all. Moreover, if after Wang Feng regains consciousness, he learns that Duan Lei and the others were wiped out in order to help him delay time. Number 7 smiled bitterly and shook his head. He knew a lot about Wang Feng. This kind of ending was definitely not what Wang Feng wanted. Number 7 has already decided in his heart that once it is really too late, Number 7 will definitely let Li Yingning find a way to wake up Wang Feng. At this time, Duan Lei and the others had arrived immediately. They didn't even need to go through the star map. They could see the Yanhuang and the brood through the portholes. At this time, all the core members and combatants of the Hope base were already on board the Hope. Even Shen Yishan, Nayuniu, and the little Katruro were all on board the Hope at this time. It can be said that the current Hope is equivalent to the Hope base. The previous base of Hope has been left to those who believe in no one but themselves. Since they believe in themselves, then, the only ones they can rely on in the future are their own. The path they choose is their own. Even if it is an abyss, no one can blame them. The Brood and the Yanhuang, how come they are together? Lu Wanting looked at the two huge space battleships outside the porthole window and asked strangely. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 726. Although no one on the Hope space battleship has ever seen the Mother's Nest, seeing the situation in front of them, how could they not know that the other battleship is the Devourer's Mother's Nest? Go and take a look first. Lu Feng said in a deep voice. Lu Feng originally wanted to be a pilot of a small fighter plane, but due to the opposition of Duan Lei and Tang Haoshan, he finally chose to stay in the central control room of the Hope. After all, the leadership team composed of Lu Feng, Tang Haoshan, and Lu Qiangguo has been accepted by everyone in the Hope base. The others, whether Daiguo, Su Mo, or others, are still a little behind in terms of prestige and qualifications. In other words, Meng Finan can be regarded as a latecomer and is still accepted among these leaders. Duan Lei drove the Hope and slowly approached the Yanhuang. As the saying goes, Wangshan is a dead horse, especially in the universe. Although they had already seen the Yanhuang and the Brood, it still took Duan Lei and his Hope more than 2 days to get close to the Yanhuang. During this period of time, Duan Lei had already asked Fuxi, and he finally knew Wang Feng's current situation. Duan Lei knew that now, before Wang Feng woke up, all they could do was wait. However, after arriving next to the Yanhuang, Duan Lei directly connected the Hope with the Yanhuang, and transferred a large number of combatants on the Hope to the Yanhuang through the passage. Even some combatants were sent to the Yanhuang number 1 under Duan Lei's forced orders. Duan Lei knew that if Wang Feng had not awakened from that state after the battleships of those cosmic ghosts approached, the Hope might have to fight those two fleets. Whether it was to attract them away or to delay the battle, they would try their best to delay Wang Feng from waking up. On board the Hope, in addition to combatants, there are also a large number of elderly people, children, and women. These are also very valuable assets for human beings. Regardless of whether they can find a planet suitable for human survival in the future, these are the hopes of mankind. Now that the Hope is going to fight, these non-combatants will naturally move to the Yanhuang. The Yanhuang is a human warship, and only Wang Feng can successfully pilot it. Fuxi does not have this ability. After the personnel transfer was carried out, only the fighter pilots and some crew members who needed to participate in driving the Hope were left. All other unrelated personnel, including combat personnel, were driven onto the Yanhuang by Duan Lei. However, Lu Feng and others refused to evacuate even to the death, and Duan Lei had no choice. No matter what, Lu Feng and Tang Haoshan wanted to stay on the Hope. They even asked Duan Lei to enter the Yanhuang, but in the end Duan Lei had to compromise and everyone stayed on the Hope space battleship. Moreover, although Shen Yishan was determined not to go to Yanhuang at this time because of Niuniu, Lu Qiang, Lu Wanting, and Qin Yu also made this choice. Qin Yu did it because of Lu Feng, and Lu Qiang did it because he followed Wang Feng from the beginning. When he needed help, Lu Qiang refused to hide on the safe Yanhuang. As for Lu Wanting, of course she knew that Wang Feng would definitely wake up, and she also wanted to reunite with Wang Feng again. But at this moment, Lu Wanting didn't want to watch Wang Feng's brothers fight for him, while she stayed behind, waiting for Wang Feng to wake up and reorganize their world with him. Also chosen in this way are the Martian trio, Yunfei, Taizu, and others. They also have to fight side by side with the earliest veterans before the Hope base at this last moment. In their words, if they chose to retreat this time, they would not have the face to see Wang Feng when he woke up. Wang Feng has sacrificed too much for them and the Hope base, and now he needs help, and they are not willing to hide behind him no matter what. For those combatants, Duan Lei can take mandatory orders, but for these core members, Doomsday really has nothing to do. Never mind. Doomsday sighed lightly. Staying in the Yanhuang was not necessarily safe anyway. All the results depended on when Wang Feng would wake up. If Wang Feng could wake up before the two space fleets arrived, then the immediate crisis would naturally cease to exist. After allocating the personnel, everyone in the two battleships began a long wait. Mengfei, do you think the madman can wake up before the battleship arrives? Number 7 asked, looking a little depressed at the still silent brood. Mengfei had also transferred to Yanhuang at this time. He was not the first to follow Wang Feng, and Doomsday also insisted on him coming. Because these people who came to Yanhuang still need managers, and Mengfei is undoubtedly the best candidate. And Mengfei also knew that the Yanhuang was not necessarily safer than the Hope. If Doomsday and the others failed to intercept and the whole army was annihilated, they might not have a chance to escape. It would just be the difference between dying first and dying first. So Mengfei did not insist and came to the Yanhuang. Following Mengfei were Li Tianxiang, Dai Guo, Huang Hua, Lin Li, and others. Although Lin Li has lost his army of rats, he hopes that the base will not neglect him because of this and will still treat him as a core figure. At this time, Mengfei smiled softly when he heard No. 7's inquiry. Of course. And this damn process will definitely be over before then. Ah! Hearing Mengfei's words, number 7 couldn't help but be shocked. Everyone else was also attracted by Mengfei's affirmative tone and looked at Mengfei one after another. Even Fuxi looked at Mengfei strangely, as if waiting for his explanation. Haha. The reason is very simple. Looking at everyone's gaze, Mengfei shrugged his shoulders and said. Because if this crazy guy doesn't recover before those two fleets, we will be dead. So. I can only be sure and believe that the madman will recover before then and continue walking with us. Crazy guy never loses his temper. It will definitely be the same this time. Mengfei said with a final sigh. That's what I say, but this guy only appears suddenly when it's most critical many times. Isn't it the same this time? Li Tianxiang muttered and said. Haha. There's nothing wrong with that. Wouldn't that be more exciting? Huang Hua smiled. Forget it. It's useless for us to think about it here. This is outer space. We don't know how to fly planes or battleships. It's useless to think about anything here. Dai Guo said loudly. The best way now is to go back to sleep. It's best to sleep until you wake up with the madman, otherwise, just sleep to death. That makes sense. Let's go. Let's go to bed. Huang Hua laughed. Get lost. I'm not interested in men. Dai Guo was furious. Hee hee. Fuxi looked at them with a chuckle, feeling that these little guys seemed quite interesting. At least, at this life and death moment, they are still in the mood to joke. Only those with this mentality have the possibility to become strong. However, as time passed, the fleet of Cosmic Ghost was getting closer and closer, and Wang Feng still showed no reaction. What's going on? Even the prince doesn't respond now. Number 7 said with a frown. It was now less than a week before the arrival of the Cosmic Ghost fleet, and when number 7 tried to contact Li Yingning, he found that he could not even contact Li Yingning. Moreover, since he did not contact Li Yingning every day after Li Yingning entered the nest, number 7 could not confirm when this situation occurred. Has Li Yingning lost contact? Fuxi asked quickly. The only person who could communicate with Li Yingning was number 7. Of course Fuxi didn't know about this. Well, I feel like he seems to be able to receive my message, but he doesn't have any response. Number 7 said with a frown. How about we send someone in to take a look? Mengfei said. No. Hearing Mengfei's words, number 7 quickly stopped him. The prince said that the life energy inside is very chaotic. He has a life core, so he can survive in it. If others go in, they will probably be sucked in by the life energy in an instant. Life core. Meng Fei was stunned for a moment, then said. It seems that the medicine that the madman gave some of us also contains the core of life. Can those people enter? No. Number 7 continued to shake his head. I also have it in my body, but that little bit of life core is not enough to compete with the life energy in the mother nest. The prince got a small piece of complete life core, so he was able to persevere. Moreover, the prince is not dead yet, his life nodes are still there, and there is nothing abnormal. Perhaps something happened inside, an opportunity caused the prince to fall into a state like a madman. Where's the fighter plane? Shall we fly the fighter plane in? Meng Fei said again. No matter what happens inside, we must know as soon as possible. The fleet of Space Ghost is getting closer and closer. I'll go. Fuxi suddenly said. Fighters won't work either. After all, your bodies are supported by life force. Hiding in a fighter plane probably won't work either. It's just me. My body is not supported by life force. I'm just a machine with a consciousness. After Fuxi opened his mouth, number 7 did not object, but just looked at Fuxi. Fuxi was right, he could indeed enter, but the situation inside was unclear, so number 7 couldn't express his approval directly. You guys just wait here for me to come back. After Fuxi finished speaking, he strode out. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 727. However, before Fuxi had time to walk out of the control hall, Xuanyuan's voice rang out in the control hall. Fuxi. What's wrong with you? We're almost there, and why are you still staying there? Xianyuan. Fuxi immediately turned around, walked towards the center console, and then said. Xianyuan. We can't leave now? Did the old man tell you what to do if something goes wrong with the owner of Xianyuan sword? Because the Xianyuan sword was given to Xianyuan by the old man, and he also told him a series of things to do, such as creating a brood. That's why Fuxi was so anxious, because according to the old man's character, the things he explained must be quite detailed. Tell me what's going on now. When Xianyuan heard this, he knew something must have happened to Wang Feng, so he quickly asked. Therefore, Fuxi told Xianyuan in great detail what happened after encountering the brood nest. Even Li Yingning's current state was not concealed at all. After Xianyuan heard the whole process, he was silent for a while. Just when Fuxi couldn't help but want to ask questions, Xuanyuan's voice came over. Fuxi, I don't know much about this situation. That old man didn't tell me everything that would happen. I guess he couldn't be that detailed. Xuanyuan's voice seemed hesitant. However, he told me at the beginning that when Xianyuan's sword is fully awakened, his master will also benefit greatly. And it may last for a while. Let me try not to disturb him. Even if I use all my methods, I must let him complete his true awakening. Real awakening. Fuxi was very confused. What is that? This little guy has awakened. Obviously, Fuxi was referring to Wang Feng's hair. I don't know about this, but I think that old man can't be wrong. Anyway, just don't disturb him yet. Xianyuan didn't know what to do in the current situation, but he knew that there should be no problem if he followed what the dead old man said. Let's not talk about the previous things about the human race, let's talk about the transfer of the mother planet and the destruction of the galaxy. Every step that the dead old man asked him to arrange in advance seemed to have deep meaning. This also makes Xianyuan feel like he worships that dead old man now. From the conversation between Fuxi and Xianyuan, it seemed that both of them had some deep feelings for this dead old man. Neither of them even mentioned the name of the dead old man. But the two of them had no respect for this dead old man at all. Either he was an old man, or he was just a dead old man, and they had no feeling of respect at all. Meng Fei and others who were listening on the side were also a little strange. Since the Hope and Yan Huang were connected to each other at this time, Du Enlai and the others also listened to these conversations word for word from beginning to end. However, no one of them dared to interrupt the conversation between the two giants of the human race. They just listened quietly. Fuxi frowned and thought for a long time, then looked at the nest in front of him and said with a worried look, "It would be easy for us not to disturb him, but you." Fuxi didn't finish what he said, but his meaning could be understood by not only Xian Yuan but also by everyone who heard it. Now the Hope and Yan Huang can wait quietly on the sidelines without disturbing Wang Feng and Xian Yuan to complete their awakening. But the biggest problem now is which side Xian Yuan is on. If there is only Xuan Yuan's fleet, maybe Xian Yuan can find some excuses, such as observing the movements of the human race first to see how far the human race has grown. You can even order to wipe out Wang Feng and his planet first, and then come back to deal with these strong men of the human race. He is the commander of the fleet, and as long as the orders he issues do not conflict with the interests of Space Ghost, other warships under his command will not refuse Xuan Yuan's orders. But now there is another battleship, and the commander of this battleship has the same status as Xian Yuan. So now Xian Yuan has no way to command another battleship. Even if Xian Yuan said that the troops should be divided into two groups, the commander of the warship would think that Xian Yuan was stealing the credit, and would probably let Xuan Yuan's fleet attack the planet. Leave this question to me. After Xian Yuan heard Fuxi's words, he hesitated for a while and then said, "But, I can't guarantee to kill all these two fleets, so, after I take action, you will come immediately and try to lure them away. Anyway, you are faster than them. As long as you take them in two circles and wait for the little guy to complete his awakening, the mission will be completed." Xuan Yuan's words seemed very simple, but Fuxi was stunned because now, he had no way to let Yan Huang enter the battle. In this case, the only remaining combat power is Du Enlai's Hope. And how effective can one hope be in the face of so many space battleships? In particular, can only one hope attract all the space battleships? Fuxi believed that Du Enlai and the others would never refuse to carry out this mission because of the danger, but what he was worried about now was the existence of the Yan Huang. He could only control the Yan Huang to a limited extent. Not only could he not control it to fight, he could not even drive it at full speed. The Space Ghost is not a fool. How could he leave the Yan Huang, which is much larger than the Hope, and pursue the Hope instead? "Senior Xian Yuan, we have no problem, just tell us how we should cooperate with you." Du Enlai's voice suddenly sounded. Of course Du Enlai understood Fu 11's hesitation, so he expressed his and the Hope's attitude in a timely manner. "It's just that, on our side, currently only the battleship Hope can join the battle." "Oh. Hope is the battleship you gave us. We named it Hope and are completely familiar with its operation. All small fighters carried on the ship all have pilots and can enter combat at the same time. However, the Yan Huang is currently unable to join because there are no more lunatics. Anyway, our current combat strength is like this. You can arrange it as you wish." When Du Enlai said this, he remained silent. Because he has told Xian Yuan all about the combat power that he hopes the base side can currently use to get out of the cave. Anyway, it is actually a ship called Hope, and all the fighters on board the Hope can also join the battle at the same time. As for the combat power of the Hope, just kidding, wouldn't Xian Yuan, the person who provided the Hope to them, not know? That's right. Damn it. I forgot about the restrictions on the Yan Huang. If I had known better, I should have brought in a few more warships. After Xian Yuan listened to Du Enlai's report, he was stunned for a while and then cursed through gritted teeth. Now Xian Yuan also realized the seriousness of the matter. He had just ignored the matter of Yan Huang, so he included Yan Huang in Fuxi's combat power. Now it seems that just relying on one Hope may not be enough to survive this crisis. Even if he used all his ambush methods in advance, he would only be able to kill most of the battleships at most. What to do next? Can the remaining thousands of space battleships be resisted with just one hope? Originally, Xian Yuan wanted these two space battleships to attract the remaining space ghosts to other directions. But it is obviously impossible now, and let Yan Huang leave in advance? Without the human warships, the space ghost would never let go of the space point. Although all the people on the Hope are humans, after all, it still looks like a battleship of the space ghost. In addition, he needs to use all his ambush methods first. By that time, his identity will definitely be exposed. What to do? Xian Yuan stared blankly at the vast universe in front of him and murmured. There are still several days before they reach the space overlap point, so they can't see the situation on the other side of the space overlap point yet. However, the star map now clearly shows that there is the Brood and two other space battleships on the other side of the space overlap point. Xian Yuan can see it now, and of course the other fleet can also see it. Hum it. One step at a time. Xian Yuan suddenly cursed loudly. Anyway, I just have to try my best. Whether I can succeed or not depends on the luck of that kid and that damn old man. Xuan Yuan's swearing made Duan Lei and others look at each other a little bit. They didn't expect that these powerful human beings would talk like themselves. Hope, prepare for battle now. I will tell you in advance when we are about to approach. When you hear me say action, you will head towards us immediately. By then, there should be a series of explosions. As for how many battleships the Space Ghost will have left after the explosion, I don't know. What I can know is that the remaining space battleships are all your enemies. You, try your best to delay time. At the same time, you'd better pray that that kid can wake up as soon as possible, otherwise, there will really be no hope for the human race. Senior Xian Yuan. Duan Lei and others who heard Xuan Yuan's words couldn't help but be stunned, thinking that Xian Yuan said it very clearly. After the explosion, the remaining space battleships are enemies. That is to say, after the explosion, Emperor Xian Yuan will fall. Xian Yuan. At this time, Fuxi suddenly spoke, but his words seemed hesitant. Actually, I think we have another way. Maybe, it will be better. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 728. Okay Fuxi. Just as Fuxi opened his mouth, Xian Yuan interrupted Fuxi. I know what you are going to say. But you have to know that this is the end of what that old man told me. Do you understand what I mean? Maybe that old man has already counted on this day, but he didn't tell me clearly. However, asking me to help this boy delay at any cost is actually made very clear. Besides, there is only one devourer brood. If the awakening process is interrupted now and this kid is awakened directly, it may ruin the old man's plan. If this is really the case, then the two of us are sinners of the human race. Fuxi. Do you still remember the mission of our three human emperors, right? Guardian of the human race. After Fuxi heard Xuan Yuan's question, he suddenly straightened his already upright body, his expression became solemn, his eyes gleamed, and he said solemnly. That's right. Guardian of the human race. Xian Yuan continued. It's been more than 20,000 years. The hope for the rise of the human race is now in front of us. I will definitely do my best. This is my mission and my responsibility. As for the result, I hope it is good. Although I must not be able to see. Xuan Yuan's voice disappeared, and there was silence among Yan Huang and Hope. No one spoke first. Now everyone knows that Xuan Yuan's upcoming actions will make him fall as well. Guardian of Humanity. This title is now truly understood by Duan Lei and others. No matter what the human race is like, no matter how depraved human beings are, no matter whether anyone recognizes what they have done, whether anyone knows it, or whether anyone appreciates it, they will all complete their mission. This is the real protection. What Wang Feng said before was correct. Compared with Xian Yuan and Fuxi, they are indeed not guardians and do not deserve this title. Ha 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 ha. I don't know how long it took, but Fuxi suddenly burst into laughter. Well said. Xian Yuan. I never thought that more than 20,000 years have turned you into this. The reckless, impulsive, and heroic Xian Yuan before can actually teach me a lesson. Fuxi. This is not because I have changed. I am a warrior. I only know how to charge and try my best to complete my mission. Xian Yuan also smiled and said. You are a wise man. A wise man will make mistakes even if he thinks a lot. The difference between the two of us is that my path was arranged by the old man, so I just follow it. As for the result, that has nothing to do with me. And you are used to considering success or failure before taking action, so you have a lot of worries. Now that we are the only two of the three emperors of the human race, there is no need to think so much. In everything, do your best. As for victory or defeat, as long as you have a clear conscience, what if you lose? So what if you fail? Fuxi sighed. Xuan Yuan's words undoubtedly spoke to his heart. For the past 20,000 years, Fuxi has been working towards reviving the human race. At that time, he thought Xian Yuan had fallen long ago, and he had shouldered all the burdens of the human race on his own. He had resisted for more than 20,000 years. The rejuvenation of a race rests entirely on the shoulders of one person. You can imagine how hard Fuxi lived for more than 20,000 years. Especially with the powerful race of cosmic ghost in front of him, Fuxi became much more cautious. Now after Xuan Yuan's words, the former Fuxi, the leader of the three emperors of the human race, the human emperor Fuxi, is finally back. Xian Yuan. When are you going to launch? After letting go of the burden in his heart, Fuxi seemed to feel a lot more relaxed, and he began to have a smile on his face, which made Meng Fei and others look a little dazed. There are still a few days left. Xian Yuan smiled and said. Maybe that kid can directly complete his awakening in these few days, and then I won't have to be exposed or die. So I will definitely delay it until the end. I will not start until I am about 10 hours away from you. Well, there are still 6 or 7 days left. We can still have a good chat. There are no space ghosts over there, right? When Fuxi heard this, he looked at the nest, with some expectation in his eyes. He also hoped that what Xian Yuan said would come true, so that Xian Yuan would not have to die. After hearing Fuxi's question, Xian Yuan directly started the video conversation, and then said to Fuxi. I am here in the central control room. Of course there are cosmic ghosts in other parts of the battleship, but this flagship has been modified by me a long time ago, and they cannot hear our conversation. That's good. Let's have a good chat while we have time. We haven't seen each other for more than 20,000 years. Fuxi sighed, with a look of nostalgia in his eyes. Yes. I think back then. In the next few days, no one in the Hope base among the two battleships spoke. They just listened quietly to Fuxi and Xian Yuan recalling the past glory of the human race. Listening to the conversation between the two, everyone seemed to have seen the war-torn era when the human race had only one home planet and expanded to the entire galaxy. At this time, everyone realized that the rise of the human race was not all smooth sailing. The entire fleet was defeated and the home planet was besieged. The original human race paid a heavy price to rise step by step. Listening to the names one after another from Xian Yuan and Fuxi's mouth, everyone's hearts were agitated. These people should have died long ago, but their deeds fascinate everyone. The bloody battles and invincible pride, the glorious achievements and the tragic death have created the glory of the human race. Fuxi and Xian Yuan kept chatting, and even though they were approaching the space point, they still had no intention of stopping. At this time, Wang Feng did not complete the awakening process as they expected. Lei and others did not interrupt them, because they knew that this should be the last conversation between these two giants of the human race. Okay. Fuxi. After talking for so long, I feel like I miss those days more and more. Just when the two fleets of the cosmic ghost would be able to reach the overlapping point in space in a dozen hours, Xianyuan suddenly sighed. I originally thought that after talking about it, I would feel better, but who knew, alas. Forget it. It's time for me to take action. It seems that boy is not ready to let me see the human race become glorious again. People from the Hope, prepare to approach me. Remember not to attack. I will tell them that you are the reconnaissance ship I sent in advance. Then, haha. Then you just have to figure it out. Fuxi. Goodbye. After saying that, Xianyuan closed the communication directly, not even leaving time for Fuxi to say goodbye. See you again? Haha. I will soon. After more than 20,000 years, we can finally fight side by side again. Fuxi looked up at the nest and murmured, then looked at Mengfei, number 7 and others behind him. I'll leave for a moment, and I'll leave this Yanhuang number to you. Third Master. You. Mengfei was shocked. Haha. It's nothing. Now, if I stay in the Yanhuang, I might as well fly a small fighter plane. Anyway, if neither the Xianyuan nor the Hope succeeds, the outcome will be the same whether I am in the Yanhuang or not, the Yanhuang will be destroyed. In the Yanhuang, there is a small fighter plane that I modified. This small fighter plane is connected to my consciousness and I can control it freely. It was originally intended to be used for escape in case of an accident, but now Xianyuan has reminded me that I am one of the 3 emperors of the human race. Now, it is time for me to prove myself. After saying that, Fuxi stood up and walked outside, leaving his last words. Boys. Just watch. You will soon know the strength of the 3 emperors of the human race. Looking at Fu 11's back, everyone in the control hall clenched their fists tightly, eager to follow Fu 11 out. It's a pity that they can't use the fighter planes in Yanhuang at all and can only be spectators. Whoosh! A small fighter plane flew out from the Yanhuang, and then flew into the distance very quickly, and soon came to the rear of the Hope, which had already set off. Then, the small fighter plane gently attached itself to the bottom of the Hope, sticking closely to the Hope. The extremely dexterous movements made everyone in the Hope and Yanhuang stunned. Isn't it said that Xianyuan is good at aerial combat? Why is Fuxi's driving skills so bad? Now the small fighter plane driven by Fuxi is almost completely attached to the battleship Hope. How much driving skill does this require? However, everyone understood Fuxi's approach, because Fuxi was flying a human fighter plane. If he was discovered by the cosmic ghost, no matter how Xianyuan explained it, he would definitely shoot him down first. In this case, Xuanyuan's plan may be ruined. But now Fuxi's position has coincided with that of the Hope. In addition, he is flying a small fighter plane, so the space ghost will never be able to find it. However, just because the cosmic ghost cannot be discovered, it does not mean that Xianyuan cannot be discovered. Xianyuan, who had already closed the communication system, opened the communication again and asked angrily. What's going on, Fuxi? I don't know. Senior Fuxi said that he was going to fight alongside you, and then. Mengfei answered cautiously. Because Fuxi was flying a small fighter plane and could only communicate directly with the Yanhuang, but could not directly communicate with Xuanyuan's battleship, so only Mengfei could answer Xuanyuan's question. Fight side by side. Xianyuan repeated it, and then burst into a burst of hearty laughter. Ha 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 ha. Come on then. You bastards of the space ghost, let's see the power of the 3 human emperors joining forces. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 729. At this time, because we were in the vast and empty universe, our field of vision was quite good. Although the distance was far away, the fleets of the Hope and the Space Ghost could already see each other. After discovering the Hope, the commander of the other fleet of the Cosmic Ghost couldn't help but be stunned. Of course he recognized that this battleship belonged to their side. When did this small battleship leave the main force and sneak over here? Likas. This battleship was sent by me, don't attack. At this time, Xuan Yuan's voice came from the communicator. When did you send this battleship? Why didn't I know? The Cosmic Ghost called Likas asked doubtfully. It seems that the Cosmic Ghost is not like the Devourer. They all have names. Humph. Do I, Piccolo, need your approval to do things? Xian Yuan snorted coldly and said, Piccolo, is exactly the name of the former owner of his body. After hearing Xuan Yuan's words, Likas stopped talking. Xian Yuan was right. They were all at the same level. Xian Yuan did not make any mistakes in this matter. In addition, this space battleship does belong to his side, and there is the emblem of Xuan Yuan's fleet on it, so Likas does not have too much doubts. But at this time, Likas discovered that the formation of Xuan Yuan's entire fleet was suddenly somewhat scattered, and then actually disbanded the previous formation. Moreover, all the warships in Xuan Yuan's fleet suddenly increased their speed and rushed to the front of his fleet. Bick! What are you doing? Reekers was furious. Likas. My battleship said that the humans in front are very powerful and have extremely fierce firepower. Let my fleet help you withstand a wave of human attacks. The sound of Xuan Yuan's laughter came. Fart. You are clearly trying to steal the credit. Likas said angrily, and then immediately issued an order to his fleet to attack with the whole fleet, not to let Xian Yuan and his fleet take the lead. As a result, the space battleships of Likas's fleet also rushed forward and mixed with Xuan Yuan's fleet. The two fleets were not as distinct as before. This is exactly what Xian Yuan wants. Without mixing the fleets of both sides, his method of ambush in advance will not have much effect. Moreover, because there is still some distance from the space overlap point, Xian Yuan and his fleet, although they rushed up, did not activate the energy shield. And the same is true for Likas's fleet. Likas did not doubt that Xian Yuan would attack him, because even if Xian Yuan ordered it, the captains of other battleships would never obey his orders. In Likas' view, Xian Yuan wanted to seize the credit and seize the resources of the Devourer's nest. As for saying that the other party's firepower is very strong, only a ghost would believe it. Now you can see the opponent's situation without using a star map. Apart from the mother nest, the opponent only has one large warship there. Although this battleship looks like it should be the flagship of the human fleet, how powerful can it be with only one? Moreover, the space around the point is completely empty, so it is impossible to ambush the next space fleet. Therefore, Likas directly concluded that Xian Yuan was deliberately grabbing credit. In fact, Xian Yuan also used this term to give orders to his fleet. Although it is impossible to fight with his own fleet, the captains under Xian Yuan are quite happy to compete with them for credit and resources. However, just after the two fleets mixed together, Likas was about to tell Xian Yuan that since the enemy's firepower is strong, you retreat and we will help you block a wave of attacks, when he suddenly felt an ominous premonition in his heart. At the same time, Xuan Yuan's voice sounded among all the battleships of the Space Ghost, including the Yanhuang. Ha 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 ha. You bastards of the Space Ghost, my name is Xian Yuan. Emperor Xian Yuan. One of the three emperors of the human race, I was the one who destroyed your two fleets in the first place. Now, accept the wrath of the human race. Anyone who dares to offend our human race will be punished until death. When Xuan Yuan's bold voice still echoed in the battleship, Likas's expression suddenly changed. Of course he could tell that the person speaking was Piccolo. Piccolo is Xianyuan? Human race? No. Raise your shields. Rikus gave the order loudly, but at this time, it was already a little too late. Because the two fleets were mixed together and had already lost their formation, Xianyuan was given the best chance. Before speaking, he had already sailed his flagship directly to the densest center of the battleship group. Then, almost at the same time that Rikus reacted and issued the order for all battleships to raise their shields, a dazzling light lit up from the flagship where Xianyuan was, and then swallowed the entire flagship. And this light did not stop after swallowing Xuanyuan's flagship. Instead, it expanded bigger and bigger. Then, a strong energy fluctuation suddenly spread out with Xuanyuan's flagship as the center. Xianyuan detonated his flagship. I don't know how many explosives Xianyuan placed in his flagship, so that the scope of the explosion was actually more violent than the explosion of a large planet. In an instant, all the battleships in the center of the battleship group were swallowed up. Even the outermost battleships were shattered by the huge energy impact at this moment. The fleet of warships that originally looked mighty was shattered by the explosion detonated by Xianyuan. Countless warships lost control and crashed into each other in the process of rolling freely, and both were destroyed. Fuxi, Duanlei, and others still felt the impact of the explosion even though they were far away. They stared blankly at the huge and dazzling light group, and an inexplicable sadness surged in their hearts. Tai Emperor Xianyuan. This time he really fell completely. Even here, they can feel the power of the explosion, let alone Xianyuan who is at the center of the explosion. Lucas was shocked and angry. He didn't expect that the fleet commander of his own race, Piccolo, who commanded 5,000 or 6,000 space battleships, was actually the human race that his race was looking for. This is simply a great irony. In particular, this human race also personally created a race called Devourer to help them find the traces of the human race, and was actually rewarded by the top leaders for this matter. This is definitely a shame for the Space Ghost clan, a shame that cannot be erased no matter how many years pass. Only by completely exterminating the human race can they, the Space Ghosts, regain their confidence in being the overlord of the universe. In the explosion just now, Rikus's flagship was lucky and was on the periphery of the fleet. However, despite this, his flagship was also injured by the shockwave of the explosion. Although the injury was not serious, it would also affect its own combat effectiveness. Attention all personnel. Check the damage to your ship immediately and repair it as soon as possible. Rikus gave orders loudly, but his orders were obviously not easy to send to every warship now. Because the aftermath of the explosion is still there, communication will definitely be greatly affected. Moreover, some warships' communication systems will be damaged in this explosion. When the turmoil caused by the explosion had not completely subsided, Rikus found that the space battleship of his own in the distance had already rushed towards him at a very fast speed. The most conspicuous one among them was the small fighter driven by Fuxi. Seeing Fuxi's small fighter, the frightened Lucas suddenly shot out hatred in his eyes. Lucas knew the information of the human fighters and warships. After the destruction of the human race's home planet, they were lucky to find a human race, and they also had a space battleship of the same size as the human battleship in front. However, the combat power of that human race was still very weak, and they were easily captured by them. From the mouth of that human race, they learned that because of the activation of their racial talent, their hair lost its function and could not perfectly control the space battleship. The small fighter plane could not be started at all, so it was so easy to be captured by them. However, they tried every way, but they did not ask those people about the whereabouts of the human race's home planet. If Fuxi knew about this, he would definitely know that the other battleship that also left the home planet no longer existed. And the fate of the people on that battleship is naturally imaginable. Now that Rikus saw the state of the small fighter plane flying, He immediately understood that the human race driving the small fighter plane was the ancient human race they had been looking for. Everyone turn on the shield and enter combat mode. Remember, do your best to capture this small fighter plane and don't let it escape. Regardless of how many people can hear his orders, Rikus still gave orders loudly. After discovering the ancient human race, the hope had been thrown behind his mind. Even though they had just suffered heavy losses due to the self-explosion of Swanyuan's flagship, there were still thousands of warships left. So what threat could a space battleship like their own pose to them? The most important thing at present is to capture this ancient human race. After Rikus gave the order, the space ghosts who received the order did not understand why such a small fighter plane would make Rikus so nervous, but they still faithfully executed the order. Among them, Swanyuan's original subordinates were also included. After the explosion of Swanyuan's flagship, they automatically belonged to Rikus's command. Likas adjusted the communicator and then asked into it. "Human. Tell me your identity." "Ha ha ha." Fuxi's somewhat arrogant voice reached his ears. "I am the human Emperor Fuxi, and the Thai Emperor Xianyuan who just fell is my brother. You bastards. Accept the wrath of the three emperors of the human race." Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 730. With Fuxi's arrogant voice, the small fighter he was driving rushed towards the space ghost warships that were slowly gathering together with an even more arrogant attitude. A small fighter actually launched an attack on thousands of warships. The fierce momentum of Emperor Fuxi made Duanlei and others all excited. Small fighter group. Request to attack. Tang Haoshan, who was in charge of commanding the small fighter, looked at Duanlei with expectations in his eyes. Agreed. Duanlei also seemed to have lost his usual calmness and shouted loudly. Afterwards, Duanlei also increased the speed of the Hope space battleship to the maximum and rushed towards the Space Ghost warships. When the Hope rushed towards the Space Ghost warships, countless small fighters kept swarming out of the Hope. Until this time, Rikus looked at the Hope with some surprise. The appearance of the Hope was just a small space battleship of the Space Ghost. Of course, Rikus was quite familiar with this kind of battleship. But now, aren't there too many small fighters pouring out of the Hope? Nearly 1 million fighters have already rushed out of the Hope, and the number is still increasing. Line up. Prepare to attack. Finally realizing that the human race he encountered is not the same as the previous human fleet, Rikus finally got serious. However, the fleet of the Space Ghost has just woken up from the explosion just now, and almost all the warships have been damaged to varying degrees. There are even a small number of space battleships that cannot even open their energy shields. Moreover, after the shock and roll just now, the small fighter cabins in many space battleships have been damaged. Either the fighter is damaged, or the hatch cannot be opened, and the small fighter cannot be launched. Warships that still have combat capabilities, move forward to meet the enemy. All small fighters that can be launched should be launched to protect the warships that have lost combat power and have no shields. Warships that have lost power should fire on the spot, those that have lost firepower should retreat, and those without shields should also retreat. Fighters should form a combat cluster to protect them. Those that still have shields should form a blocking formation to prevent the opponent's small cluster from breaking through. Pay attention to focusing on attacking the human fighter. The others are ordinary humans. Likas saw the situation on his side clearly in an instant and kept sending orders. Although the number of small fighters that flew out of the Hope surprised Likas, he knew that these were ordinary humans, not the ancient humans. Because the ancient humans would not drive such small fighters on their side. Likas knew in his heart that even after more than 20,000 years, they were no match for the human race in terms of small fighters or space battleships. The human space battleship in the distance still did not make any movement. It seemed that among these humans, there was only this ancient human left. Moreover, Just looking at the fact that a great human being like Emperor Fuxi has reached the point of driving a small fighter plane into the battlefield, we can know that the ancient human race, which was the biggest threat to them at the beginning, is really almost extinct. Rikus didn't know that Emperor Fuxi's current fighter plane was modified, and he was using his own consciousness to control it. Rikus only knew that the ancient human race was the biggest threat to the ghost race, and he must be killed. As for other human races, as long as there is no ancient human race, there is nothing to fear at all. At this time, the small fighter plane driven by Fuxi had already rushed into the Space Ghost battleship group that had not yet organized a formation. The small fighter plane that entered the battleship group did not pay attention to the battleships that were welcoming them with energy shields turned on. Fuxi certainly knew that it was impossible to break these shields with his small fighter plane. So his target was not these battleships, but those space battleships that could not turn on their shields and were hiding in the back. At this time, countless small fighters also flew towards Fuxi and started firing. Duanlei and others who followed Fuxi couldn't help but get nervous. Facing so many small fighters firing, could Fuxi dodge? Afterwards, whether it was the people in the Hope Base or the cosmic ghosts, they all admired the wonderful performance of the human Emperor Fuxi in amazement. The small fighter driven by Fuxi suddenly began to move at a very fast speed, and kept rolling and changing lines while moving. None of the dense attack beams hit Fuxi. A bunch of idiots, did you all grow up eating shit? Seeing this scene, Rikus couldn't help but jump up like thunder. Small fighters, all press on, crash and destroy him. Nearly 10 million small fighters that received the order all swarmed towards Fuxi, as if they wanted to use their bodies to limit Fuxi's moving space. But at this moment, Fuxi's small fighters suddenly opened fire. Although Fuxi's fighter planes were constantly rolling and moving while firing energy beams, their accuracy was extremely high. The most outrageous thing was that due to Rikus's order, all the small fighter planes rushed towards Fuxi, causing their formation to be quite dense. And every attack by Fuxi, when destroying a small fighter plane, would cause the small fighter plane to explode directly, causing the surrounding small fighter planes to be affected, and some unlucky ones would even explode directly. For a time, the small fighter planes were in chaos, making Rikus even more annoyed. Disperse them all. Disperse them all. A bunch of idiots. If a battleship with a shield comes up, a small fighter plane cannot break the shield. It must be said that Rikus finally issued the right order. However, the order is a bit reversed. If he had done this before instead of moving the small fighter plane to the front, it would have really caused Fuxi a lot of trouble. But now, Fuxi directly used those small fighters scattered as a breakthrough point. Due to the dense formation of small fighters, the space battleships that came up were also in similar formations, so these small fighters had to pass through the gaps between the space battleships. Fuxi seized this opportunity very well. When the small fighter plane passed by the space battleship, he directly emitted an energy beam and destroyed the small fighter plane. Although the explosion of a small fighter plane cannot destroy the shield of the space battleship, it will consume the energy of the shield. Seeing this situation, Likas regarded Fuxi as a person who must be killed, and even gave up the original idea of capturing Fuxi. Everyone opens fire and kills the fighter plane at all costs. After issuing this order, Likas also wondered, if the ancient human races were so powerful before, then they didn't have to pay such a high price to destroy their two fleets. Now Fuxi only uses a small fighter plane, which is causing them to panic. What if he uses a space battleship? Likas obviously overestimated Fuxi and the ancient human race. The reason why Fuxi is so powerful now is because he directly controls this small fighter plane with his own consciousness. In other words, this small fighter plane is now equivalent to Fuxi's body, that's why it is so flexible. And if you want to achieve this, among the current human race, only Fuxi, who has already given up his body, can do it. Moreover, even Fuxi had not thought of achieving such an effect beforehand, let alone those ancient human races before. At that time, the human race was at its peak. Who would give up their body and turn themselves into a robot? Even Fuchsie made this choice because he wanted to survive and see the rise of the human race. At this time, Fuchsie himself felt extremely happy, and his depressed mood due to Xuan Yuan's death was vented. However, Fuchsie did not take it lightly. He knew that Wang Feng still needed him to help delay time. So Fuchsie piloted a small fighter plane and followed the Ghost Clan's fighters, trying to break out of the encirclement. Stop him! Fire! The strongest fire power! Likas roared loudly. He saw Fuchsie's intention, although there were still small fighters and even space battleships near Fuchsie. Firing is very likely to cause accidental damage, but Rikas doesn't care about that much now. In his opinion, this ancient human race is really terrible. Even if he loses half of his space fleet, he will definitely kill Fuchsie. After receiving Likas's order, the space battleships that had gathered around launched volleys at Fuchsie and the space around Fuchsie. At this time, Fuchsie's surroundings were all blocked by all kinds of artillery fire, leaving no room for escape. Third Master! Duanlei roared, and all the soldiers on the Hope and the small fighters saw that with the salvos of those space battleships, Fuchsie's fighter plane, along with all the battleships or small fighters within a few kilometers around him, were all destroyed by those space battleships. The massive attack beam was swallowed up. Call. When Rikas saw this scene, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This difficult guy was finally dead. Fortunately, he didn't worry about the space battleships and fighter planes around him. Otherwise, if he ran away, it would be a major hidden danger to his clan. All of them. Remember not to be impulsive. Our purpose is to delay time, disperse them all, and don't enter the opponent's battleship group. The madman needs us. Seeing that his own group of small fighter planes seemed to be irritated by Fuchsie's death and pounced on the opponent's group of battleships, Duanlei quickly shouted an order. Although he also wanted to rush forward with the Hope, fortunately, Duanlei had not lost his sanity. He also knew that Wang Feng behind him still needed them to buy time for him. If they acted impulsively at this time, not only would they die here, but Wang Feng may also never wake up.